today. I'm not too sure the exact date of the great rabbi's Hilula, but I'm concentrating on Rabbi Avraham Abulafia, what's given his full title, Rabbi Avraham ben Shmuel Abulafia, one of the great rabbis of Spain, especially during the 1200s in of itself. Now, he was, let's just say, the founder of the school of the prophetic Kabbalah, let's just say in itself. He was born in an area called Zaragoza in Spain, I believe in the English year 1240. So we're talking about nearly 800 years ago from the time of recording here in 2024. And it's assumed that he died around the time period of 1291. So he would have been, if we use that assumption, he would have been about 51 years of age at the time of passing away. I believe he passed away while he was at a stay in an island of Comino, which I believe is one of the three smallest inhabited islands that make up the Maltese specific area in of itself, as this is the archipelago in of itself. Now, let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life, because much can actually be found about him, especially in the encyclopedia and in history books, and definitely online. It's actually interesting. I believe when he was at a very young age, his parents took him to an area called Navarre. I think this is in Tudela, if I'm not mistaken. Well, at that point in time, I think his father was was older, Rav Shmuel Abulafia, and instructed him within regards to Torah and the Talmud, the Gemara in of itself, respectively, making him very proficient in it. I think somewhat the English year 1258. So at that point in time, would have been about 16, 17 years of age. He was a teenager. Or maybe it was about 18 years of age at that stage in time. His father passed away, and Rabbi Abulafia began, let's say, a life, of using different journeys at that point in time, very important journeys, which incorporated a lot of Torah and Judaism in it. I believe in the year 1260, he went to the land of Israel, and he searched, made a search. He was investigating with regards to lost 10 of the lost tribes at that point in time, and I think he actually stopped over in an area called Akko over there, and it was a time period, I think, of the Crusades in of itself that was actually, so it was a turbulent period all over the world, and there was a battle, I think, at that point in time between the Mongol Empire and the Mamluk Sultanate, which I think actually had to go back to Europe at that stage in time, I think via Greece. I think during especially the years of yesteryear had a great Jewish community in of itself, and I think he would actually spend a time period in Rome and stopped off in Capua over there, I think during the early 1260s, if I'm not mistaken, and he learned a huge amount of Torah study, including the philosophical, concepts within it. He studied in great detail the guide for the perplex of the Maimonides, famous Rambam in himself, and very, very much so, and was really learning at the highest Torah level in of itself during that particular period, and very interesting. I think he learned under the great physician, under someone named Hillel, from Rav Hillel ben Shmuel of Verona. Very interesting enough. Rabbi we've spoken about, I believe, before in this series. I think he always, held Maimonides in highest esteem, the Rambam. He would learn from him and everything else. Remember, Rambam lived at around that time period of the 1100s to 1200s in of itself, I believe. He made use of, many of his sentences in the various different great writings he did. And he was very much using the philosophy, the science behind his teaching. He was very articulate, and he was able and very keen to teach others. He really, really wanted to influence other people. I think he wrote variously industrially on the Kabbalistic, teachings, philosophy, and the grammatical Kabbalistic connotations in of itself, and subjects in of itself. And he surrounded himself, by numerous students who, really, really imbued his enthusiasm and his excellent teachings in of itself, which we have to talk about. I think at one stage in time, he would return to Spain because, and he would actually return, I think he was 31 years old, he would go to Barcelona, and he would study Kabbalah over there at the highest level in of itself, and was very, connector to many of the great Rabbanim and many of the great thinkers at that point in time. He immersed himself in the study of the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, as we say in English, which explains, let's say, the creation of the world and humankind as based on, let's say, the various Hebrew letter combinations, as well as commentaries also. And I think there was a famous Jewish German rabbi, mystic, Rabbi Elazar of Worms, over there, who I very much recommend everyone to investigate on. And like he was deeply influenced, I think they were, within regards to Rabbi Abulafia, and there was a great effect in increasing, like, just say, his teachings and his learnings in of itself. It's actually interesting, just to give a side point, the letters, let's just say, of the alphabet, numerical and vowel points, all assume, let's say, he's showing about the mystical meaning of it, the combinations and the permutations, how it supplements with each other within regards to it, how it explains each other, how it possesses each other, like a really, really, to the highest degree, using the science of the letters in Judaism. I think after that, after his time period in Barcelona, he would actually move to Castile over there. And he was, I think, close with various different Rabbanim over there, including Rabbi Moses of Burgos, or Rabbi Moshe of Burgos, in of itself. And he had a great student, Rabbi Yosef ben Avraham Gikatzila, I think. And I don't think, and I think that will happen to be his Talmud himself. Then come around the year 1275, would have been about 34, 35 years of age, he taught the Guide of the Perplexed and his Kabbalah in various different areas in Greece in of itself, I think different cities in Greece in of itself. And he wrote the first of, let's just say, one of his Torah works in of itself, Sefer HaYashar, as we say that's called the Book of the Upright, the Righteous in of itself. I think this was in Patras in the English year 1279. He would have been about 39 years of age at that point in time. That same year, I think he went back to Trani and back to Capua, where he would teach more students at that stage in time, very much influencing many people. Now, he would journey back to Rome, so you can see he was very, very well traveled in the 1200s. You remember that? There was a time period where it wasn't so easy to travel from area to area. So it was in Italy, Greece, in Spain, various different places. He made his way to the Holy Land before we see. And it's actually reported over, he went there actually to convert Pope Nicholas III. This was, I think it was done before the festival of Rosh Hashanah. This was in the year 1280. And I think he happened to be in himself, this is just a side tidbit, in Soriana, Soriana, and which is from Wikipedia. Actually, there's some excellent notes in regards to the great rabbi. I believe he would actually end up in Sicily at a period of time, and would actually go to various different places. I think he had various different students also in Palermo, and at that point in time, and there was I think that he had like people that were questioning him with regards to some of his teachings, some of his books. Also, while he had many students, there was many rabbis also that would let's say, critique his books in himself. I think most notably Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet of Barcelona, if I'm not mistaken, around the time period of 1285 in of itself. He would actually travel into more places in of itself, and he would eventually land in Comino near Malta, I believe. This was between the time period of 1285 to 1288. And I think in the year 1291, he wrote his last and probably his most, as they say, intelligible work, the meditation manual called the Imrei Shefer, which was naturally we translate that as the words of beauty. And after that period in time, I think he passed away in the year 1299, if we're not mistaken. So most of the books he wrote was between the years 1271 to 1291, including several books in himself, commentaries on the Guide of Perplexed. He wrote on the Sefer HaGeula, I believe in the year 1273, the Sefer Chaya HaNefesh, and the Sefer Sitrei Torah, I think in 1280, the Sefer Yetzirah, as we said before, Otza, and then Ganuz in the year 1285 to 1286, which was really the Gan Na'ul, which was another great work, I believe, on the 5 books of Moses in himself. And this was in the year 1289. Many handbooks he wrote, many of it was in manuscripts, teaching, let's say, prophecy in of itself. Chaya Olam Haba in 1280, Or Shah Sechel, and the Secher Cheshek in of itself, and Imrei Shefer in 1291 in of itself. So many Torah teachings in of itself. I think there was many understandings with the books, and much more. I would recommend everyone would actually to research about that. I think he elaborated within regards to different interpretations in the commentaries, which he did on the 5 books of Moses. And he uses different, as we stated at the beginning of the video, within regards to using grammar and language within regards to many of his teachings. Now, I believe his writings, he uses various different languages. Remember, we said he was well-traveled. I think included Greek, Latin, Italian, Arabic, Tatar, and Basque. And many use many of these words for, let's say, the purposes of gematria in of its own right, teachings within regards to that. So much more I would recommend everyone to look about it. We spoke about the great books, the writings, which include the Sefer Geula, Sefer Chaya HaNefesh, Sefer HaYeshar, Sefer Sitrei Torah 1280, which happened to be commentary on the Guide of the Perplex, the Or HaSechel, which is light of the intellect, let's just say we translate that in English, the Get HaShemot. There was also the Mafteach HaRe'ayon, then the Gan Na'ul, which was commentary naturally on the Sefer Yitzirah, the Otsar Eden Ganuz, which was also on the Sefer Yitzirah, also the Sefer HaCheshek, and the Sefer Ha'ot, which was the book of the sign. That was in, I believe, 1285, as we said before, till the year 1288. Now, he had huge influence on especially parts of world Jewry at that time. Large number of manuscripts, and let's just say the meditation he uses and the manuals are used even in modern day, especially. I think they were published, if I'm not mistaken, some of his teachings in Meir Shrim in Jerusalem during the 1990s. It was reported over, and very much the reaction of Rabbi Shlomo ben Avraham Aderet to many of his, let's just say, his writings also, and the legal authorities within regards to this, let's just say, is very well documented also, which I recommend everyone to research upon that in of itself. So much of the teachings is done. I would recommend everyone to actually learn about it more. I think much of his work is also included in Rabbi Isaac ben Shmuel of Accra, I believe, Rabbi Yehuda al-Batoni, and Rabbi Chaim ben Yosef Vital, if I'm not mistaken. That many of Rabbi Abulafia's ideas, let's say, are combined with Sufi elements in of itself, which is very much spoken about. I believe it's reported that after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, let's just say Spanish in a theological Kabbalah, which had developed, let's say, without like a huge influence at that point in time from ecstatic Kabbalah, was integrated with the latter at that stage in time. And this combination will become later on through the book of the Pardes Ramonim of the famous Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. Remember, I think we did a video with in regards to the great Rabbi Cordovero. It was part of mainstream Kabbalah at that stage in time. And Rabbi Chaim Vital would later on bring the great Rabbi Abulafian views and the ideas in himself into the, let's just say, the 4th unpublished part of his Sha'arei Kedusha, and I think the 18th century Kabbalists, the great rabbis of the famous yeshiva Bet El, the Bet El Academy in Jerusalem, pursued Rabbi Abulafia's, let's say, mystic manuals in of itself, and many of the Polish Hasidic masters, it influenced them to some degree in various different forms of their teachings and the learnings and the literature and the poetry within regards to the great teachings of Rabbi Abulafia. So I'm not too sure the exact date of the great rabbis Hilulah. Remember, we already spoke about various different rabbis from the Abulafia rabbinic dynasty in of itself in this series. Many of them became great rabbis, especially in Tiberias. I think we did really cover this, the 3rd or 4th Rabbi Abulafia in the series. Now, friends, we are a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis from the Sephardic Edut Mizrach countries of last 1,000 years even. We are a community here. Please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos to other people, and yeah, please, if you happen to be related to any of these great rabbis, please send me an email. I will love to hear more. I'm wishing you well, and take care. Blessings from Israel.